Okay, good morning, everyone. So we are looking today at the last section of this unit. So we're looking at acid-base titration. So this is just basically a lab technique that's actually used with acid-base reactions. And the purpose of it is actually to find the unknown concentration of something, either your acid or your base. So as mentioned, titration is a laboratory method. And the purpose of it is to determine the concentration of an unknown substance. Now, because we're doing an acid-base reaction, the unknown can be either one. It can be the acid that we don't know or the base that we don't know. But the other solution that we used has to be a standard solution. So meaning we have to know the concentration. So one is known and one is unknown. So if it's the acid that we don't know, the base we have to know. And the reason why is because through calculations, after we do our experiment, we can actually calculate what the concentration is of the one that we're missing. So how do we do this? There's some terminology here that we're going to have to go over. So we have to do a measured volume of the titrant. So the titrant is our known solution. So the one we know the concentration of, from a burette. So a burette is a piece of lab equipment, which we'll see a picture of in a second. And the other solution is essentially reacted. So we react the acid and the base together until we reach our neutralization point. Okay, so the end point that I'm referring to here actually has to do with a pH indicator that will change color. Okay, we're going to talk about all that terminology again. So here's the standard setup for a titration. So this is our burette. So sometimes you'll see it spelled like this. Sometimes you'll see it spelled like this. It's the exact same thing. Basically, it's a very long cylinder-shaped tube that's very thin, much thinner than a graduated cylinder. And it has, you can see even in this picture, a whole bunch of different markings. So it has graduation lines that we can accurately measure the volume of. This, notice it says containing base or acid. Inside this container is where we have the concentration that we know. So this is our standard solution. Okay, the standard solution always goes into our burette. So then we have an Erlenmeyer flask is always used because it's really nice for when you're trying to swirl this. Erlenmeyer flasks are the best for this. This is where you're going to have your acid or base, but this is your unknown. Okay, so the one you know is in the burette. The one you don't know is in the flask. Now, the one that we don't know is called an analyte. Okay, so it's the one we are trying to analyze, if you want to think of it that way. Standard solutions also can go by the term titrant. It's the one that we are titrating with. So we're analyzing this. It's called an analyte. We are titrating with the standard solution. It's known as a titrant. It's just terminology that's being used here. Now, notice that it also says there is an indicator here. So an indicator is a substance that will change colors depending on the pH of the solution. Now, the reason why we would need this is essentially what's going to happen here. Let me just work this out for you. So let's say my acid is in here and my base is in my flask. What we're going to do is we're going to add drops of our base until we completely neutralize this acid. So we want all of the acid in here to fully react with the base that's in here. So you only want to add just enough until the base and acid have fully reacted. So reaching the neutralization point. Now, acids and bases are both clear, colorless solutions. So this would basically look like water. This would look like water. And you're just adding them together and you have no way of knowing when it's neutral. You could take the pH of this, but it becomes kind of annoying because you'd have to add like 2 drops and then take the pH. Add another couple of drops and take the pH. Because remember, we don't know the concentration. So we don't know how much to add. You literally just have to keep adding until it's neutralized. So that could be 1 milliliter, that could be 10 milliliters, that could be 25 milliliters. You're not sure. So it would be annoying if you had to always take the pH measurements. So what we do is we add a substance that will change colors. Because when the color changes, when it becomes neutral, we know, okay, then we know to stop. So let's say this is like a blue color. Obviously, it's just like a cartoony picture, but let's say this is a blue color, but when it turns green, we know to stop adding it in. So what you would do is you would just keep adding, swirling it around. And then when the color changed, you would stop. And then you would take your measurement, right? So let's say we started up here, okay? So let's say we started up here and then we finished down here. We know how much we added in order to neutralize it. And that's the purpose of this. Once we know the volume of how much we had to add to neutralize it, we can now use that and our knowledge of stoichiometry to solve for that concentration. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So here is some more kind of repeat here, but some of them are new. So a titrant, remember, is the solution in our burette. This is the standard solution, right? The standard solution that we know the concentration of. So this term standard solution, just to remind you, it's the one we know the concentration of, which is our titrant. The equivalence point is actually considered to also be called the neutralization point. So this is where you have neutralization that's been complete. So meaning you've added in equal amounts of acid and base so that they're fully neutralized. Now, how are we going to know we've reached the equivalence point? You have to look for the end point. The end point is the visual cue that will be made by the indicator. So when there's a color change, you know to stop adding solution because it's now neutral. So be careful because end point is literally referring to the color change. Equivalence point or neutralization point, that is what's happening in terms of the chemical reaction between acids and bases. This indicator doesn't actually react with anything. All it does is it changes color so that the human who's looking at it knows to stop adding in the solution. Because remember, if you didn't have anything to tell you, you would have to take the pH measurements because there's no way by looking at it to know when it's neutral or not. Okay, so when choosing an acid-base indicator, remember you want to pick an indicator that will change color during the equivalence point or the neutralization point. So there's actually a wide variety of acid-base indicators that will change colors at different pH numbers. So this becomes useful, obviously, when you're looking at different types of chemical reactions that you want to change that you want to see a change in pH with. But obviously for the purpose of grade 11, right, we want to have a neutral solution. So meaning a pH value of 7 is when we would have neutral. So just keep in mind, obviously the pH values can have different, numbers, different color changes depending on the indicator. So the pH change, just so you know, obviously this year we can't do the lab physically, but when you actually go about to do this, so let's say you continue, if next year in grade 12 we are able to do the labs, just so you know that when you're doing titrations, you need a lot of patience. This here, as I was mentioning, this is literally drop by drop. So when you are adding this, you don't open, so this is a valve that you can open and close. You do not open this and let this run through. One drop, actually sometimes half a drop, can make the difference between neutral and not neutral. Okay, it is not a clear-cut thing. You have to go very, very slow. So here are some examples of different indicators, And I like this picture here because it shows the color that they are in the different pH values. So for example, some here you'll notice the color change happens, at a low pH. Some of them have more than one color change. Some of them, the color change, only happens once, and it could be in different locations, right? So here we have one that's a little bit later on. Now, remember that the goal is a pH of 7, because we have, for our reactions that we would be doing at this level of chemistry, we would be doing an acid-base neutralization where we have a pH of 7 at the end. So you really want to look for something that changes around the 7 mark. So there's actually a couple of good choices here. Methyl red, alizarin isn't bad. Bromothymol blue, phenol red, and phenolphthalein are a little bit higher than a pH of 7. So really these three would be the best choice in terms of color change around pH of 7. Now in terms of what would we actually use, the most common indicator, even for in grade 11, is phenolphthalein. And the reason why is, even though these three are the pH we want, what happens here is some of these are very difficult to see. So going from orange, so imagine this is going from orange to yellow. It becomes very difficult to see, okay, well, is it orange? Is it yellow? Is it an orangey yellow? Same thing here. It's a yellow and red transition, so it's an orange. It's very difficult to see the differences here. Okay, same thing with bromothymol blue. The yellow to blue, it's a green color in between, but this green is very, very light. It almost looks like a blue-green. So again, students have a hard time, well, is it blue or is it blue-green? Same deal. All of these, if you notice, these three here are all like orangey red. Phenolphthalein is the best one to visually see because here is colorless and then pink. So it's very easy to see the difference between no color and color. It's hard to see the transition between colors. But when you start with nothing and then it's pink, you know to stop as soon as you see a light color pink. Okay, so in terms of visually, this is the best one to see. So here's an example showing you with the bromothymol blue indicator. So this is where if it's in an acid, it's yellow. And if it's in a base, it's blue. So the neutralization point, the color change is a very, very light green, okay? So here's the kind of technique. So what I want you to learn from this slide here is the technique of how this is going to work. So here we have the initial burette reading. So remember, this is the solution of our titrant, the one that we know the concentration of. So we haven't added anything in here yet. So then what we do is we open the valve and notice there's drops that are going in. So drop by drop, so notice the volume is going down, right? We're adding in, we started here. We're adding in solution. As soon as we see the color change to the color that we know we're looking for, you stop. See, there's no more drops adding in. This is the initial reading. This is the final reading. So we know if we started here and we finished here, this is the amount of volume that we added in. That's how many milliliters that we added in from our drops. So this is the volume we want. Once we know this number, we can do stoichiometry and we can figure out what the concentration is. Now what they're showing you here is what happens if you miss this. You add in too much. So it's called overshot. So notice we were looking for a green color, but now we've added in too many drops. It's now a base color. So this means there was too much titrant that was added. So this person's probably going to have to start over again and see if they can try and get this correct picture, this correct color. And literally the difference from here to here can be 1 drop. So you have to be very careful when you're doing this.